by the media consultant to the surveillance company, chairman, Dr. Paul Bebenimi Bo Tompolo described the trending publication as false and misleading reports authored by those who are envious of his contributions to the recent rise of Nigeria's daily oil production. The statement further reads that Tompolo has rejected the publication, describing it as a tissue of lies. He urges Nigerians to disregard the misleading information intended to arm twist the federal government against the surveillance company whose collaboration with security agencies has curbed pipeline vandalism, crude oil theft, and sundry maritime crimes. Tompolo assures the federal government, led by President Bola Tinubu, of his continued support for the Renewed Hope agenda, adding that he's already endorsed the president for a second term.
Alright guys, welcome to my channel. Guys, so it has happened again, alright? A lot of persons have been saying this for some time now in social media space, that Tompolo was actually trying to react in respect of what is going on between the government and Nnamdi Kanu. But the young man comes out to come and say all that thing are all lies. But then, that is not the issue here. We also have an information of the newly created state, all right, that has been added to the Southeast, because before, what we actually have in the Southeast was just 5 states, while every other region in Nigeria have six states. So, but then, I want you guys to pay attention to everything that is going to happen, as this video produces some very important information that will keep you informed of what is currently going on in our country, Nigeria. So please just stay tuned. And please don't forget to hit on the subscription button and then turn on the post notification bell for more updates from this channel. Updates from Nigeria and within African countries. So stay tuned.
But the right to, you have a right to counsel of your choice, but also have a right to defend yourself.
He's often had the counsel, I mean.
Yes, always had.
Yeah.
But you also have the right to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's a fundamental right. I mean, the court can't enforce you. Of course, the state has provisions to make for legal aid if either because of poverty or because of other circumstances, it can't access a lawyer. I remember when I was a defense counsel to Ken Saro-Wiwa, when we pulled out from the case based on strategic reason, the state assigned him a lawyer. In fact, in many cases, the state may assign you a lawyer if you can. But in his own case, I think perhaps it's strategic. Two things I think. There's also a political trial, even though it's based on a criminal charge. But the context, the landscape of this is politics in terms of more important is agitation. This is like IPOB is a revolutionary
band.
But what I'm saying, by nature of IPOB, it's a political organization attempting to challenge the Nigerian state based on some ideas. And so their leaders also consider their trial as political. Trial. Just like Mandela had, and then maybe Ken Saro-Wiwa. I remember the statement.
So Kanu is
maybe prisoner? He fancies himself that his own personal defense.
He's a political prisoner?
No, what I'm saying, he is facing a trial, but he is somebody who has been declared, whose has been declared illegal by the state. So there's a political dimension. Now, he might want to use this opportunity of this trial to put a country on trial. Let me tell you, when we wanted to defend Ken Saro-Wiwa, I remember very well when he came to the office with Ghana Fahimi, he said that we shouldn't defend him. We have to convince him to go for trial. The idea was that the state wants to kill him, but he needs to put the good course and put the state on trial strategically. So when we push the state to enough error, because it was clear the manifest intent was to hang Ken Saro-Wiwa, we pushed them to an error, we withdrew. By that time, the whole world, Bembom from Law Society and from Bar Council wrote a report that this is unfair trial. Don't forget that was why Nigeria was banned from Commonwealth and the Spiral event. So the point here is, maybe strategically, he fashions that he could say something, use opportunity to as a revolution, as an agitator, to push a narrative he wants to push out. And he says, I don't mind if I die. I'm going to put the country on trial. Dangerous gambit, if you ask, legally speaking, because Omolo is a very senior lawyer prosecuting. So you would require senior lawyers defend it, because the judge is going to base it on proving evidence.
Yeah, because I was going to ask you that. How should the courts, handle such a request and treat the defense of the accused person without legal representation. You've, used the political dimension to underscore what Kanu might be intending.
Exactly.
And it may too, as some analysts, had positioned that he probably doesn't want to go to prison.
Okay, two things can happen. First, the court has to be sure that is his choice, okay? Two, the court also have to ensure that the court cannot lower the standard of proof or the standard of innocence for you because you have no lawyer. So the judge would act like a judge. You hear the case, look for evidence, and don't forget, in a Nigerian case, you have to prove the case beyond reasonable doubt against. So cannot even enter a defense would still require the government to prove the case. The other point is that the court has to ensure that he gets the facility he needs for self-defense. So this is where it becomes tricky. You have to ensure, if you want to call witnesses to do pre-trial briefing, you have to allow those witnesses to meet with him. If, for example, so the fact that he's detained in DSS complicates the matter because of the way DSS runs their detention.
Yes, the lawyers have often complained about that, lack of access, to their
So the judge has to
detention.
ensure, right now, the trial has to be fair and free. And the judge is the one who has to protect that freeness and fairness of trial. He has to do that by two ways. First, this accused person understands what he's going to do, that he's out to defend himself. Two, provide him all the facilities. He's talking about case file. Assuming he wants to consult some books, assuming he wants to consult some of his witnesses, he wants to put them on the things that lawyers will do in their chamber. They bring the witnesses, hear their story, go through them, decide which witness is good enough. Kanu will now do it for himself. And so the restrictions of that DSS has to no longer work. And maybe this is where the judge might ask, you know what, I take authority and remand this person in prison custody, where there's a structured way the prison allows for visits, provides for all those facilities. The DSS is not a prison facility. I think that is very clear. And that's why you see the lawyers complain they have no access. So the judge has a responsibility now and duty to ensure that this accused person, who is now his own defense attorney, so to say, has to be treated as someone who is preparing for a trial. When the lawyers are there, the guy could be put on chains and clamped away. The lawyers will be busy getting the job done. They go to court. But now that he's going to be his own lawyer, he needs the body presence, mental presence, he needs the liberty and the facility to prepare. So the judge is now under the spotlight. Whether he will afford this guy, the prosecution says 6 days. That doesn't really work. There's no way a known lawyer who has to go through this trial, get briefed by his former lawyers, get the files, will put up a defense in 6 months. That's going to happen. So we're going to see inevitably that the judge will bend backward, give him time, and also more importantly, allow the DSS has to be under obligation now to allow him to meet with his witnesses, interview those witnesses, because that's what it means to defend yourself. And the law doesn't care whether you're a lawyer or not. You say, look, you must have fair trial, adequate facility to defend yourself, including resources, time, consultation. So this is a curveball of a sort. It complicates the procedure.
You can't, it's not time bound.
Well, the judge, it has to be a timeous prosecution, but the judge has to do a fair, okay? The judge will say, if
that's
this guy...
the scale of justice.
Yes, just say, okay, fine.
Must be balanced.
Can this guy get this thing done? If you don't give him the files, how can he do that? If you don't allow him to talk to his witnesses, how does he know who he's going to put on the witness box for himself?
And already, some of the witnesses that he's going to call are high-profile Nigerians and the rest.
I think if I was advising him strategically in terms of politics of this, I think it's going to be hot. If he decides to, some are compellable, some are voluntary witness. So if the court has to issue an order directing subpoenas to come to court and testify, of course, they will be, most of them are advanced, they are going to be advanced with it, but he probably wants to extract some confessions, some statements that his own thinking. I mean, this is dangerous, but politically, and that's the point here, many revolutionaries, you don't agree with them, so oftentimes consider their trial as the most important stage in their life to make their case. I recall we're doing Kensara. We tried a Iwaga, whether he will be jailed, whether he will be killed. And we use the case of Basanjo and Yaradua and Musa Yaradua. So we say, okay, if Yaradua will be pardoned, then he can fancy himself. Say, okay, I'll go to prison, but from there, the Ogoni cause will spread abroad. It didn't factor that it could be executed. So the notion is, I'll be jailed, but I'll be stronger in prison. The cost will be stronger in prison. So I don't know whether Nnamdi Kanu is this lucid and clear-minded now in prison. I don't know. But if someone says, I want to defend myself because my guys cannot say what I want to say, then it means that they have crossed the threshold of fear of conviction and thinking more about the political outcome of that trial. That's really what it suggests.
All right. I mean, there are two sides to it. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Thanks so very much, Dr. Sam Amadi, Associate Professor of Law and Director, Abuja School of Social and Political.
Amendment has once again returned to the front burner. This time with renewed calls for the creation of Anioma State out of the present Delta region, or Delta State, now the Delta North Central District of Delta State. Well, at the National Assembly, lawmakers are revisiting the long-standing demand for new state in Lagos. As you will see, some of the pictures is just part of the ongoing efforts to address issues of equity, representation, and administrative balance across the federation. Proponents of Anioma State have argued that the move would not only correct perceived historical imbalances, but also strengthen local governance and regional identity. The latest agitation now comes as the Constitutional Review Committee begins fresh hearings on memorandum from across the country. Well, we understand that coming from that meeting that you saw in Lagos, there's a lot of agreement that has been reached about the way forward. Possibility is now looking stronger than ever for a possibility of an Anioma State. But now, there is going to be something to give and something to take. It means then that there's a possibility for other regions of the country to have their own state. But how would this play out in the whole scheme of things? One of the major proponents of these and the pusher in the National Assembly is the senator representing Delta North in the National Assembly, Senator Ned Nwoko, who is live for us here. Senator, thanks so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Your face has been all over the media in the last few days.
You know, it happens.
For personal family reasons.
It happens.
I hope everything is calm.
Well, we are trying to manage the situation.
Yeah?
Yes.
You're a man of many parts.
Yes.
People underestimate you, though.
Oh, do they?
Your capacity.
Well, I am who I am.
You're an Old Testament man.
Yes, I am.
But everything is on the cam right now.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's not the business of the day, so let's go to the business of the day. Why are you advocating? You are the major pusher, especially on the floor of the Senate. And you have argued with your colleagues the need for an Anioma State. And don't even begin the conversation around marginalization, because that's the first thing, because people will say, we have Southwest 6 states. South 6 states, Northeast 6 states, North Central 6 states, Northwest 7 states, but Southeast 5 states. Is that part of the agenda to fix the Southeast that seems to be smaller in terms of the number of states, or what?
Well, almost just over a year ago, I had a meeting with the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, where I discussed about the problems of Southeast, the insecurity in Southeast. You know, what do we do to address it? And he knows the problems, and he also has an idea. The whole idea is that there should be some level of equity extended to the Igbos of Southeast by having an additional state. It wasn't going to be an easy task, you know, to create one, but it is doable. And I'm happy that we have come this far. The point is this: even at that time, it was understood that the problems of Southeast, the agitations of the youths of Southeast, the killings there, the referring to the ESN groups and ESN and IPOB and the rest of them. These are young people who have come up to say that they are fighting for freedom because they are marginalized. And one of the areas that they've all spoken about and against is the fact that they are the only zone. Southeast is the only zone in Nigeria that has 5 states. Why is that? Why was it done intentionally to undermine them? Of course, yes. And from engaging those youths, it became so obvious that if a step is taken in creating one state, just one state, to bring it apart with the 5 other zones, let's leave Northwest out of this now, at least bring it apart to the 4 other zones, then something would have been done for them. You know, yes, they are clamoring for different things, but I mean, not least, of course, the release of Nnamdi Kanu. They're asking for it. We know that that is something that has to be done. You know, you would just say
Nnamdi Kanu to be
oh
released.
yes, yeah, of course.
Why do you think so?
Nnamdi Kanu has been in custody for some time now. I believe that he has been held unjustly. Many people feel that way.
As a lawyer, do you think so?
Oh yes, yes. That
the judicial process is unjust?
Yes. Yeah, no, it has been. There's a lot of delays in prosecuting him and all that. If you want to get him tried and convicted, get on with it. You know. But this is a guy who get on with it. You know. But this is a guy who has been held unjustly, as I said, you know, for so many months.
And the Buhari government started
I'm not talking about this government.
Trial. No, so the point I'm even making now.
I'm talking about the previous government under Buhari when
it's facing a judicial process right now.
Yes.
Saying it's unjust because the argument is that there should be a political solution, maybe a null prosecution. Prosecution should be established on that for the case to be withdrawn. But there are those who say, well, there are allegations and it's left for the law for him to have his day in court, which is in process.
But as you know, there has been some pronouncements by the Federal High Court, which has not been respected. You know, so his incarceration is the main reason for the crisis in Southeast.
But the crisis started before he was even arrested.
No.
The killings, the burning of police station, the killing of police officers and all whatnot.
Well, look, the problem in Southeast is very different from what is said in the Northeast or Northwest and all those areas. You know.
As Nigerians are looking up to the National Assembly for an overhaul of the 1999 Constitution, this has brought members of the National Assembly to Lagos to see how to harmonize proposals. Memorandum of submitted to the Joint House Committee on Constitutional Review. Although the meeting was not for media coverage, we spoke to the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Barau Jibril, after their meeting, and it reassures that the outcome of the harmonization will be to the benefit of all.
Well, let me tell you, in the first place, we are here on a retreat to look at the submissions that are before us, the bills for the alteration of the constitution that are before us, so that we can harmonize our 2 positions, the position of the Senate, the position of the House, so that we can have a harmonized position that we shall, at the end of the day, submit to both chambers. And then the reports will be deliberated upon, and then the House of Reps and the Senate will now take a decision on each of the bills. So we decided to come here to Lagos to do this harmonization. This is what we are here for. It's not for a specific area or to do any other thing apart from harmonizing our 2 positions, you know, so that we can have one single position to present to both chambers, to a kind of expedite action, expedite the process, so that we can get the job well done. I can assure you we are doing our best. You can see how we came here for the past 2 days. We've been working, and we've done all within our powers to make sure that we do the right thing. in line with our processes and procedures so that we can have the best position that we shall present to the both chambers of the National Assembly. We are doing our best, and I can assure you the end result of the entire process will be something that will be useful to this country.
Another senator, a committee member, Senator Usita Ezunazo, hints that state creation drew the attention of members, and after a debate, it was agreed an additional state be approved for the Southeast geopolitical zone.
The most important of all the approvals that we have gotten is that we have agreed today to give an additional state to the Southeast to balance it 6 states per geopolitical zones, regardless of the Northwest that have several zones. And we also set up another committee to look at modalities to create more states for the areas that need more states. These are the things that we have achieved today. So an additional state for Southeast is a major achievement of this final retreat of the National Assembly Constitutional Review Committee. So there are other, we stepped down the issue of police, state police. We said we are going to look into it. We set up an additional committee to look into the issue of state police. We also look at the issue of local government. We didn't step it down. We also asked that same committee to look at it. So all the gray areas, we asked a committee to look at it and submit their report within 2 weeks. So we're going to meet again in the next 3 weeks. But the ones I've told you now are the ones that we have already agreed and concluded. So I think it's the right step in the right direction.